Let's kick this thing off with something different. Picture the late 70s, America's highways buzzing with CB radios, everybody suddenly thinking they could be a truck driver, and the pop culture scene blasting out Smokey and the Bandit like it was the gospel. That's the vibe where BJ and the Bear rolled onto NBC, a show that didn't just pull up. It revved its engine, honked the horn, and brought a chimpanzee in the passenger seat just to make sure you remembered it. Because what better way to cash in on a trend than mixing a good-looking trucker, a big rig, and a monkey named Bear? Yeah, it sounds wild, but this was network TV in 1979. They were throwing curveballs left and right. Now, here's the breakdown. BJ and the Bear starred Greg Evigan as Billy Joe BJ McKay, a free-spirited independent trucker just cruising through America, trying to dodge crooked sheriffs, corrupt businessmen, and whatever random drama small-town America wanted to throw at him. Half the time, you weren't even watching for the story, you were watching for the vibe, the highway shots, the truck chases, the charm of Evigan, and of course, Bear the chimp who always stole the scene. This was that hero drifter formula that TV loved back then. Same DNA as the Incredible Hulk, the Dukes of Hazzard, and later Knight Rider. A guy and his sidekick rolling into town, fixing problems, then hitting the road again. So how important was it? Let's not sugarcoat it. It wasn't world-changing television, but it was very important for its moment. The trucking craze was massive, and NBC saw the lane wide open. This show fed right into America's obsession with freedom, wheels, and CB handles. You had folks out here thinking every highway was Route 66, and BJ and the Bear gave them a trucker superhero with a chimpanzee sidekick. It was escapism, it was trendy, and it was fun. Plus, it even got so popular that NBC spun off the misadventures of Sheriff Lobo. Proof that this thing had enough traction to start its own little TV universe. Now, how good was it? That depends on how you measure it. Was it Shakespeare? Nah. Was it top-tier TV drama? Not even close. But was it entertaining? Absolutely. Greg Evigan carried that show with charisma. You can tell NBC was banking on his looks and his smile as much as his acting. The action was simple but fun, trucker stunts, fistfights, and car chases. And Bear? Bear was the ultimate gimmick. He gave the show its identity. Kids loved it, families remembered it, and even though critics kind of rolled their eyes at the formula, audiences tuned in because it felt good. But here's the weakness. It leaned heavy on trends. Once America's trucker obsession cooled off, so did the show. By 1981, it ran out of gas. Compare it to the Dukes of Hazzard, which had more cultural staying power with its southern charm and bigger personalities. And you see why BJ and the Bear kind of drifted into the forgotten favorites category. It didn't have that long-lasting hook beyond the gimmick. Now let's talk about the fan base. Back in the day, it had its people. Trucker culture fans, all in. Families, they tuned in for the monkey. And folks who just wanted some lighthearted fun on a Friday night, perfect fit. The spin-off success proved there was legit interest. But as the years rolled on, the fan base shrank into a cult crowd. You don't see BJ and the Bear conventions popping off. But you do see retro TV fans, trucker nostalgia groups, and old-school collectors keeping the memory alive. And let's be real, if you grew up with it, you probably have a soft spot for it. So what's the legacy? Well, BJ and the Bear is a pure time capsule. It represents the trucking craze, the freedom fantasy of the late 70s, and NBC's willingness to throw something trendy on air just to see if it stuck. It stuck just enough to be remembered, but not enough to live forever. It's not Knight Rider, it's not the A-Team, but it doesn't need to be. It's remembered as a fun, wild, and quirky show that gave us Greg Evigan in his prime, a chimpanzee that upstaged everybody, and a reminder of how crazy trends shape TV. BJ and the Bear was never about being deep, it was about being a good time. And for 3 seasons, it did exactly that. That's why it deserves its flowers. Not for being the best, but for being unique, memorable, and perfectly of its era. So what do y'all think? Does BJ and the Bear deserve more love in the retro TV conversation, or was it just a funky gimmick that burned bright and faded quick? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like if you remember CB radios and trucking songs, and don't forget to subscribe for more retro breakdowns.